The more you shift how you see, the more you'll uncover who you are. This is Perspective with Corey Katuna. Hello, everybody. I'm Corey Katuna. Welcome back to another episode of the Perspective Podcast. The last couple episodes I've been traveling, so this is in another hotel. I'm now in Berlin. This weekend, we have our last Freedom Talk in Berlin. Bentinho will be teaching to hundreds of people in Germany here. And then after that, we're going to get into a couple different types of retreats. We're going to do a weekend immersion in Amsterdam, and then a week-long, this is in October, a week-long, like proper residential retreat in Croatia. So I'm excited for that. Anyway, today, okay, the thing is, I was thinking, I'm in the middle of my thinking on something. So it feels premature to do a podcast episode on this. But there's so many cool elements of it, and maybe it's nice to just be transparent about what I'm thinking about, what I'm learning. I feel like I'm in the middle of learning two things that are converging. Um, and it's exciting and it's interesting. And there's also another element, which is okay, so on both from one framework, it's the scientific perspective, the logical perspective. And I've been thinking a lot and learning a lot and talking a lot about consciousness, but really what is consciousness and the relationship between consciousness and matter. So that's on the one hand. And then on the other hand, from a spiritual angle, having gone to, having helped host and produce and attend Bentinho's Non-Duality clinic, and then a lot of the conversations that are happening behind the scenes with the team and just my spiritual growth is much more right now, it's much more in the realm of stabilizing behind the mind. Um, Basically stabilizing in a non-dual state, which is a little bit of a misnomer. But so anyway, I'll talk a little bit more about that. And okay, what I want to say about that, about sort of how I feel about being transparent about where I'm at spiritually, I just noticed a little, um, for some reason, when it comes to like everybody's private enlightenment trajectory, we're all a little bit tight-lipped about that. I don't know if you guys notice that or if you also feel that, but it's kind of like, whether maybe it's just that we don't have like a framework that we all sort of mutually understand about like where are you at? Like how self-realized it's, like if you're going to the gym, you can be like, yeah, I'm lifting, I'm getting 20 kilos on this, or whatever. You can talk about your progress and um help each other, and there's like sort of just, I don't know, a more understandable linear type of framework about where we're at. And then also okay, I think just like the fact that I'm one of Bentinho Massaro's closest teammates, core teammates, and I've been studying this work for so long, there's some element also of like, I should be fully enlightened by now, which I don't really feel, but I sort of feel that projection. Like I feel like people see Bentinho and they think, oh, well, everybody who surrounds you must be enlightened like you are. Um, And I guess there's just many ways to look at that. There's what is enlightenment if not just returning to what you are? So in a way, everybody is enlightened from one perspective. And then from the other perspective, we're all working toward that total sort of dissolution of ego and total remembrance of what we truly are, or the self, or consciousness, or perhaps what was before consciousness. So I don't find myself too often talking like super, super transparently about where I'm at in my next level, my next evolution, my present awakening. And maybe it would be nice if we did that more, or if more people did that. So I'm going to on this episode. I'm just going to like talk very transparently about what types of stuff do make sense to me, what types of stuff don't yet. Like there are some things in my awakening journey where I just see, for example, I'll see Bentinho operating in a way where it's like, I know I'm not operating that way. I know I get triggered where like you can go through something where you're not getting triggered. And I know if I was in that exact same situation, I would get triggered. I would get affected. So I know sort of with that evidence or with that proof, you're more free than me. You are less attached than I am. Um, okay, so how do I want to talk about this? So there's the spiritual angle. And I'll just say that what I'm working on, what Bentinho has been teaching, not only at the non-duality clinic, but in general, this is kind of a fundamental of his teachings. But also what we've been talking about behind the scenes as a team, like many of us have been sort of reaching our next level of this, which is, yeah, how to explain this. How to explain this in a very relatable way. Okay, so if you are aware of awareness, if you are aware of your awareness, or if you are aware that you exist, just being aware that you exist. So imagine like almost okay, and even if you don't believe in incarnation, imagine some like soul was like, I'm gonna go to that planet and spots Earth. And it's just a soul, it's just energy, it's just light. And it's like, okay, I'm gonna go incarnate in a body. And so this soul, whatever, loses all memory, everything is gone, whatever. Just bear with me on this. And then it kind of finds itself on earth as just awareness, just like, whoa, okay, I am. Before it starts forming a body. This might be too far, this might go over your heads, but I'm just trying to sort of put you in that position of just being aware, or just like that first spark of like I exist before I start incarnating, before I start sort of gathering matter to form a body or a brain. Just that first spark of like I exist. I'm here. There's like a nodal point of awareness from over here. Or if you don't like the whole incarnation thing, see if you can imagine see if you can just imagine it. Yeah. For example, imagine right now if you had absolutely no memory, none, no memory, like totally, totally, or, imagine you're in a coma. This is hard, but that the lights are still on. So there's no memory. You don't know any language. You don't know that you're in a body. You're like, your whole body is just like almost shut down, not working. There's no memory, there's no sense of space, there's no sense of time, there's no like hope that I get through this, or there's no sense of like even, oh yeah, me. I'm over here, the other stuff is over there. Maybe I'm in a room. This is a body. There's nothing like that. Just like imagine a body that's totally shut down, or like completely, completely, completely demented. Just that spark of like, I am, or even just like isness itself, existence itself. There's some like nodal point of awareness or consciousness. And if it takes some effort, you see what we're going through. It's like not an easy thought experiment to get in this and just peel off all these layers of identity, thoughts, potential future, um, assumptions, what I am, what I like, what feels good, what feels bad, um, what I am. That stuff is all the water that we're swimming in. We're so used to that we never question that. Um, Most of us don't even question the mind or the body. We just think this is all me. This is me. This is my mind. This is me. I'm looking at this. That's me. Most of us don't even question that. But imagine even getting rid of your memory, even getting rid of the sense of I'm over here ish, and just awareness? Can you lock onto just awareness? Like before it becomes anything, before it starts to think, oh, now what? Wait, I'm over here. Okay, I'm spatially located. I'm oriented like this. Oh, okay, north, south. Before any of that, before, oh, time is passing. That I feel a little different than I felt 5 seconds ago. No, none of that. Ding. Now, just awareness, just present. Okay, wow. Okay, but maybe that was useful. This is what I have to do when I'm sort of doing some of these meditations. This is literally what I'm doing. I'm like prompting myself and like peeling off all the stuff. Ugh, ugh. Hold on, just now, present, present. And sometimes I'll prompt myself. I'll say, I, I, I. That can help. Or like, I exist. I am. I'm here. So anyway, these are kind of routes in to lock onto that awareness itself, like lock onto basically awareness, aware of awareness, consciousness, conscious of consciousness. And it's timeless. It's instant. It's present. So, okay, so I was telling you what my next level is in terms of my own sort of spiritual evolution. And this is okay, I'll talk about it, but it's still I'm not there yet. Um okay. All right. So, how to explain this? I'll just tell you, I'll so I've been talking to Bentinho about it and I've been watching his talks, especially the Non-Duality clinic in Amsterdam. I think oh no, I don't think you can watch it on YouTube, but you can watch it in Massaro University. I think you can watch it for free in Massaro University if you just make an account, massaro.university. It's an app. And you can watch the non-duality clinic, but in most of his teachings, I mean, in so many videos on YouTube, he has thousands of videos on YouTube, I think, you can you can kind of hear him talking about this in many different angles. So, but what he's been talking about, especially recently, that has felt like my edge or has felt like very interesting to me, maybe the next level of my enlightenment. This is my most transparent episode. I can already feel it. I can just feel that I'm like really welcoming you guys into my inner process. And that's how I feel, by the way. I feel like that with this episode. I almost didn't really want to record this because it's like I'm in between. I'm in the middle of thinking. I'm going to disagree with myself so soon. I'm going to feel like, "Oh, that was so ignorant. Why did I say that?" In like 3 days I'll probably look back on this episode. But it feels consistent with my intention to just be transparent and like and also just to prioritize quantity again over quality. Like it doesn't need to be perfect. I would rather build the circuitry of transparency and trust. And then maybe also to not that it's like stigmatized or something, but like to destigmatize or to just reduce the significance that we put on like, oh, how enlightened are you? How enlightened am I? And just to help each other with our breakthroughs and our realizations and our seeing and our enlightenment. Because the best case scenario is that we all elevate our enlightenment, no? And if we can actually talk about it and share where we're at transparently without feeling like we should be further or feeling like it makes us look especially unenlightened if we don't get something, then yeah, okay. So let me talk about this next level that I've been sort of playing with, which is okay, everything everything that I can perceive. Everything that appears to me, every single appearance, every single experience, whether it's the feeling of happiness, whether it's a sound, whether it's a smell, whether it's any possible thing I could think, anything I could think, anything I could think, even like space, thought, um, anything, hunger, people, anything that I can perceive. The only place I know for sure that I can perceive that is in my own perception. That's the only place I know for sure that I can perceive it is in my own perception. And let's just say there's like a point in the middle of my brain somewhere that's like the 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 final sensor. Because if you hear something, something is aware that I can hear it. If you close your eyes, like something is aware. It's not just like in my ears and then that's where it ends. I hear it. The same eye hears it that can smell whatever I smell or see whatever I see. There's this same, you could say, point, although Bentinho told me that that's inaccurate. And I was like, is it more like space or is it more like a point? And he was like, neither. So but I'm still using this point idea just because it helps me sort of in the beginning to kind of collect all my senses. So, but every single appearance meets in the middle. It meets somewhere. There's like me that is aware of that. Right? So I can't say that for sure that smell is because of something over there because I'm smelling the conditioner on the carpet. I can't say that it's over there. I can't say that the people walking are really there. All I know for sure is that I am aware of them. That this point, this thing that like registers things, that it registers people. That's the only proof I have. Subjective proof. And a good example for this is in your dream. Think about sleeping. You're in a dream and people are going by. You got smells, you got sounds, thoughts, everything. Da, da, da. And then you wake up and you're like, oh, none of that was actually there. The only place that really existed was in my mind. I was dreaming that up. I was coming up with that. There was only one place, like it all kind of met in the middle. There's only one place for sure I know that that was, and that was in my mind. It didn't happen out there for real. It wasn't really out there. Just because I experienced it doesn't mean it's really out there. The only place I know for sure it existed is in my mind. In fact, that's the only place it existed in the case of a dream. So use the same framework or the same seeing to like copy paste that onto your waking life. So every experience, every thought, everything that encompasses your experience, space, time, memory, emotions, every single thought, every relationship, hopes for the future, identity, attachments, fear, everything. There's only one place, air quotes, that those things definitely occur, and that is in whatever part of you is aware of them or can perceive them. Okay? Makes sense? I'm sure this is going to just be like not making sense to some of you, and I'm not sure what to do about that. It's abstract stuff. And for some of you, I'm just like droning on about something that feels so obvious and so basic to you. So, excuse me. So, Bentinho says, and many other non-dual teachers, spiritual teachers, enlightened people say, perception equals existence. So just like a dream. All the stuff that seems to exist, this table that seems to exist, only exists in my perception of it. I am creating it just like a dream at night. I create the table by perceiving it. Okay, so that's like the next step. So basically, this is all a dream. It's a much more sophisticated dream. It's a much more complex dream. It feels much more real. There's way more consensus among everybody else that this is real. It's also just trickier to, yeah, it's convincing. So this is a dream, a creation of perception. This is a play of perception. And okay, now this is getting to where I meet my edge, my sort of next level. I Okay, hold on. I am equally as much in this table as I am in the body, Corey, and this mind, because it's all made out of the same. Okay, so even as I'm like describing this to you, I start to feel it and it starts to get trippy. I remember Frank Yang talking about some of this kind of like vipassanalizing, um, which means to um, basically feel. Like in Vipassana, it's like these like 5 or 10 day silent meditations. You feel everything. You feel what the very tip of your finger feels like. You're sitting there in meditation, like feel the inside of your nostrils as you breathe. And you're doing this for like hours. And so you just really feel what that feels like. And then you can move down. So right now, if I tell you feel midway down your arm, like what's going on there, what do you feel? Unless you're getting tickled by a hair or you have a little itch or you have a muscle cramp, you don't feel that. You can't feel that unless you touch it. But through Vipassana, you start to get awareness there. You start to sort of be like, oh, I can actually perceive from there. I have like perception power there. Interesting. I'm used to only having perception power here. But through Vipassana, I'm starting to get perception power down here. Whoa, I can get it on the inside of my body. Whoa, I can get it on the tips of my toes. And then what Frank Yang has said, and I think some others, this is like kind of a common tool, is to begin to Vipassanalize out into space as well. So out, like actually feel from everywhere, from anywhere. Um, and if it's all equally a dream, yeah, so I guess the thing is that's my edge, is that I perceive it as like I still have this point. This is where I come from, is this point. You know what we were kind of talking about earlier? Like I perceive everything from right here. And then this next level is basically I am all of this. All of this is equally arising, and like all of this is equally part of the dream. So what's so special about what feels like it's, the source of my awareness? Because all of it is made out of the same awareness. And Bentinho was kind of like coaching me through this at one point, and he was like, you can, I think the words he used was rest as the fridge. Like you can rest as the fridge. Like almost sort of, because it's all made out of the same consciousness, it's all made out of the same stuff. I don't have to just rest in awareness, sort of n- non-locally. I can rest as something that feels not me. I can rest. I can by rest. What do I mean by rest? Just be aware of myself as. So I can be aware of myself as what feels like the usual local self that I use all the time for this mind and body. But I could also be aware of myself as this table or as this refrigerator or as the coffee. I can be aware of myself there or my awareness there. So, and I'm not fully there yet, but I started to like get it. And then it was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I was laughing. So a little trippy. And okay, this is what I wanted to get into with this episode is, so simultaneously to this whole discovery, I've been watching Alex O'Connor. He interviewed Annika Harris, this is Sam Harris' wife. She's studying, researching consciousness. And then he also had another guy. Oh, it's almost worth looking up this guy's. I'm going to do it. This other really good episode on Alex O'Connor's. Um, how do I? Who was this guy? Josh Rasmussen, associate professor of philosophy at Azusa Pacific University. So Josh Rasmussen and Alex O'Connor had a great episode. on the problems of consciousness. And his episode with Annika Harris was also about, like, is everything conscious? So and in both of these conversations, by the way, Alex O'Connor is this he calls himself cosmic skeptic, but he's just super bright. I like how his mind works. Um he's an atheist apparently, but I just can't quite feel that. So maybe he really is. I haven't watched enough of his stuff, but he feels so remarkably open to the supernatural. Not even the supernatural, but just like metaphysical truth, big picture metaphysical possibilities. And I think most atheists deny that or need proof before they really entertain that. Anyway, I was watching some of his episodes and I've been sort of debating with my dad, who's also atheist, very skeptical and just like a logical scientific mind where it's like if then, so talking to my dad, I'll say something, he'll be like, hold on, define that. Or so if you said this but then 5 minutes ago you said this, so you contradict yourself, so which one is it, that kind of thing. So I have to get really specific, where I'm much more like, just hang on, like suspend all that and just see if you can go there with me. And then if you see what I see, you can figure out your own logic. Don't make me do that. But I realize that in order to be able to teach and to hit many demographics and to make things make sense, it's so necessary to be able to speak multiple languages, including the language of science, which I don't know if I'll ever fully be able to speak that, but I'm interested, I want to be able to at least not grossly ping the radar of scientific people every time I speak about spirituality and consciousness, because I think what Bentinho has found, what many sages and enlightened people throughout the years, what some prophets of some religions, like what people have found, what some people have found is ultimately true. That is what I believe. That's what I feel. That's what it feels like every time I get closer. It's like, every time I become more awake, more enlightened, every time I peel off layers of the dream, it's like ultimate truth. That's what it feels like. It's like something that science can't compete with. Like no scientist could be like, look, you're wrong. This is true. And it'd be like, yeah, then I'm wrong, because this is what truth feels like. This is my metric for truth. And I've even had this debate with my dad, and he has some good arguments against that too. But anyways, so Alex O'Connor and Annika Harris and Josh Rasmussen were sort of exploring and talking about the question, what if consciousness is fundamental? What if consciousness is fundamental? So in most materialist science, matter is more fundamental than consciousness. Matter, stuff, physical things gives rise to consciousness. Atoms bump into each other in certain ways, and then time passes, and then many things happen. And then consciousness sprouts up in the form of a little plant, or maybe not even a plant, a worm. And then that evolves and that evolves, and our brains become more complex. And then it becomes a fish, and then it becomes a brain, human brain. And that's how consciousness comes about. It is a byproduct of matter. That's what materialist scientists tend to believe, as far as I know. And then what's been so exciting to me and so inspiring to me is to hear atheist-minded scientific people like Annika Harris, Josh Rasmussen, and Alex O'Connor, and probably many others. I'm just scratching the surface of this exploration. To hear them describe their sort of question, like it's almost like they're trying to work with the mainstream view that matter is more fundamental than consciousness, that matter gives rise to consciousness, and they're finding limitations to that view. And then they begin to explore, okay, what if consciousness is more fundamental? What if consciousness is somehow first? What if there was consciousness first and consciousness is kind of everywhere? And then that through consciousness creates matter, like a body with a brain. But that consciousness was there first, and then it developed into matter. And then some things that are more complex, like a human with a brain, can feel that nodal point of consciousness, while other things like a phone or a microphone or a lamp can't. They don't have that sort of self, that direct experience of feeling sovereign, or like a felt experience of being a self, being something, being aware. So they seem to be exploring that, which is exciting. And it feels consistent with what I'm exploring spiritually, which is like, what if consciousness is everywhere? What if I, AKA consciousness, is equally in this refrigerator or equally in this table as I am in this body? What if awareness is somehow a substratum? And I'm okay, as I'm talking, Bentinho has been saying this since I've known him. So it's not, in theory, I get the theory, like I get the teachings around this, but in practice, it's a little different. And in science, it's a little different. So science is not on board with this all the way yet. And in my direct lived experience, my own awakening, my personal experience, I'm also not um, like able to sustain that awareness. Like sometimes in deep meditations, I'm like, whoa, 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 I'm everything. Or I'm even before the thing that is aware of all this stuff. Whoa, I'm uh there's a source. I am the source of all this. So I can have those sort of glimpses, but in terms of like actually being able to be like, yeah, no, I'm equally as much this table as I am this brain. Um and is made out of all of this matter is made out of what I am, which is awareness. And then, if you continue with continuous teachings, even, I'm even before awareness. But anyway, I want to really make any more points? I guess that's kind of the exciting thing, is to feel like my spiritual evolution, my personal sort of spiritual realization is converging with some scientific explanations and understandings that interest me right now. Um, And then I suppose the more I really master this and find out for myself for sure, because I trust Bentinho's teachings, pretty much everything he's ever taught me has been like remarkably useful. And even if I didn't get it at first, and then later as I'm practicing, as I'm studying, it's like, oh, that's so, oh, of course, of course. So I have, there's just an amazing track record. I don't think Bentinho has ever downgraded my perspective. I think he has only ever upgraded my perspective. That's amazing. That's amazing. So, all right. I think that's it for today. We're just in the middle of our thoughts, huh? I would love to hear two things actually. I would love to hear in the comments where you're at with this. Like even if you feel like you can improve a perspective, or if you've heard of science that like, I'm just curious, like, what can you do to further my thinking on this? Almost like a collaborative effort, whether it's the scientific angle or the spiritual angle. What other people are speaking about this? Because I feel like I'm right in the guts of learning on this, and I'm interested and I'm receptive and I'm curious. Also, if this did anything for you, like if this sparked anything for you or brought you closer to understanding anything. So, I think that's it for today, my friends. Hasta luego. Mwah.